Okay, welcome everyone. Good evening, alumni and special guests. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I warmly welcome you to the BCIT Alumni Association Annual General Meeting. My name is Leslie Kershane. I am Executive Director of the BCIT AA and also Director of Alumni Relations for BCIT. I will be your MC this evening. I'm joining you today from the Burnaby campus, and we love that this online AGM enables you to join us from far and wide. We have the full agenda and meeting package available for you at bcit.ca/alumni/AGM. Just scroll down to meeting materials. Next, I would like to thank our wonderful AGM sponsor, the BCIT School of Business and Media. Alumni, you may wish to check out their executive field schools that they offer. There's one planned for Italy in June of 2022 that is filling up fast. A big thank you to our affinity partners, BMO Bank of Montreal, TD Insurance, IA Financial Group, and Prospera. And we do also have door prizes tonight, even though we're virtual. Two $200 MasterCard gift cards donated by BMO, a $100 Uber Eats gift card donated by Bell Mobility, the Alumni Association's exclusive mobility partner, and a $100 Visa gift card donated by TD Insurance. Thank you kindly to all of our door prize donors. Next, I would like to acknowledge our special guests joining us this evening, including members of the BCIT leadership team, BCIT Foundation, BCIT Alumni Association past presidents and board members, and of course our guest speaker, Spencer Powell from the Bar Cart tonight. We look forward to mixing up our first cocktail with you very shortly. But first and foremost, to officially begin the event, it is my pleasure to introduce BCIT President Kathy Kinloch, who has led BCIT through tremendous strategic change since 2014. Welcome, Kathy.
Thanks, Leslie, and hello and greetings to all the alumni. I look forward to seeing you and also getting a chance to mix cocktails with you in short order. So before I begin talking tonight, I'd just like to thank you for being here, but also I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the traditional territory of the Coast Salish peoples, which includes the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, and thank them so much for sharing their home with us. That's a location of the BCIT various locations of our campuses. But I also want to acknowledge that I'm on the land of the Semiahmoo Nations in White Rock tonight, speaking to you from our area, and again, a recognition. It's been a heartbreaking discovery over the last days, and the remains of 215 children at former residential centers and schools in Kamloops. And my heart and our hearts at BCIT go out to the families of these precious, precious children and many others who've been lost to residential schools. So I hope you'll join me and the BCIT community in our strong commitment to learning and reconciliation to help create a better future for everyone. It's been a hard week within a hard year, and I'm grateful to be here with you this afternoon as we all work together to create positive change. Thank you all for representing BCIT in your professional roles and in your communities. And thank you to the Alumni Association for keeping our valued alumni engaged and connected to BCIT, particularly during these difficult times with COVID, as operating remotely and on campus as we've tried to do. You have been a real source of strength for us. I think we've all heard and seen enough about the changes and the challenges of the pandemic. So knowing that we've got cocktails and a lighter mood, I thought I'd turn my focus to some wins. You know, I'm very proud of BCIT faculty and staff and how they've leaned in throughout the year to create COVID-safe learning spaces and practices for so many BCIT students to come back to finish the required hands-on, sound familiar, component of their credentials. You'll see some of that work in a video later on in the program. In fact, just so you know, 40% of BCIT's programs had an on-campus component over the fall, winter, and spring terms, and we'll be bringing even more learners back to campus as people are fully vaccinated for the fall. I really can't thank the faculty and staff enough for their passion and their dedication to make this happen. They had to pivot, to use an overused word, in their teaching modalities considerably in short space of time. And no surprise, despite the many challenges, our BCIT alum, you have continued to make meaningful and positive differences in our communities. I know there's thousands of examples of success stories, but in the interest of time and getting again to the cocktail lesson, that seems to be a theme for me tonight, I'll share just a few. We all remember how difficult it became to access a much needed PPE in the early days of the pandemic. And two BCIT alum, Jamie Hawkins from Mechanical Engineering and Keish Go from Interior Design, used 3D printers to create thousands of face shields and ear savers for frontline healthcare workers at the Columbian, BGH, Surrey Hospital, the Cancer Agency downtown, Burnaby Division of Family Practice, GF Strong Center, and many long-term care centers. That was a life-saving, very remarkable move. Here's another. Mechanical engineering alum Joshua Bradshaw developed a face shield to help frontline workers during COVID-19. And Joshua had his eureka moment, and I love this, while waiting for a drive-through meal when he noticed that all of the staff were wearing baseball-style caps. So he quickly worked up a prototype, attaching the plastic face shield to the rim of the ball cap, and the cap shield was born. In May last year alone, more than 15,000 units of cap shield were sold in the first week. And Justin has now offers in this in other made in Canada PPE products as a president of Vital Manufacturing. Congratulations. And Joshua wasn't only a BCIT alum to help fight the pandemic as well. Chris Dickey, who holds a diploma in computing and computer systems technology and a bachelor of technology, is a VP of, sorry, I've lost my place. It's Chris Dickey holds, I don't want to give you the wrong credentials, Chris, here, from a diploma in computer systems technology and a BCIT Bachelor of Technology, is VP Research and Development at Clarius Mobile Health. And they've done amazing work as well. A portable ultrasound developed by Chris and the team at Clarius has become indispensable to frontline tools, as a frontline tool to check patients for COVID-induced acute pneumonia present in the most severe and high-risk cases. And I've had firsthand experience with that. It's an amazing tool. And last, but certainly not least, just to highlight that BCIT always upholds BCIT's diversity and inclusion values, is computer systems technology grad Rob Schultz. When COVID hit, Rob created the shopfirstnations.com website. I'll say it again so you can go on, shopfirstnations.com website and front page to encourage business reconciliation as one of the calls to action for Truth and Reconciliation report. His work connects customers with local First Nations, Inuit, Métis, and I encourage you to check it out and check out his Facebook page as well. It's very cool. So my congratulations and thanks to all our exceptional BCIT alum who are helping make the world a better place every single day. Now, I know there's thousands of examples of success stories, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to move on. Before I do, I wanted to share a quick visual tour of the improvements that are going on our campus, across the BCIT campuses. We're developing a new mass timber housing to provide expanded and sustainable accommodation for future BCIT students, which is currently in the design and the procurement stage. And if anyone's in the audience from Ledcor, any BCIT alum, they're very pleased to have we're very pleased to have them on board, and Ledcor will be very active with this file. Now, for those of you who slept in those current student residences, you'll be envious of what you'll see when this opens, and we'll have an event there so you can tour it. Also, we've got the construction of our new health sciences center along Willingdon, and it's well underway if you drive up and down Willingdon. It'll open next year, and we'll look forward to that opening. Now, you might have wondered what's going on our downtown campus. We have a tech collider there that's just in the finishing stages, and will bring learners and industry innovators together under one roof. And again, it's also under construction. And our new Center for Digital Transformation has launched to convene strategy and collaboration across cybersecurity, data privacy, data analytics, of course, the Internet of Things, simulation, multimedia, and much more, to name a few. Now here's a throwback one. The Telus Theater, you'll remember that, has been transformed and is ready to host live and in-person events again soon. And the 2 new plazas are underway on the Burnaby campus to provide more inviting and sustainable outdoor gatherings for our community. And importantly, we're making strong progress in planning and funding for BCIT's future new Center for Trades and Technology. We're excited about that. So I know that many of you as BCIT alum are involved in supporting these projects, and I thank you so much for bringing your skills back to BCIT to help in our ongoing transformation. Most importantly, thanks for all you do to stay connected and to support us at BCIT. You make us very proud, and I couldn't believe that we could do it without you. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kathy, for joining us here tonight. We truly appreciate all you do for BCIT, BCIT students and alumni. And that was a really cool glimpse into the latest and greatest at BCIT and a glimpse into the future as well. So I'm now going to share the short video that Kathy mentioned to give you another glimpse into BCIT this past year. And then we are going to jump into our bar cart first cocktail of the evening. So get your ingredients ready for that. Wonderful. Okay, so next I turn it over to Allie Siemens, Manager of BCIT Alumni Relations, and Spencer Powell from the Bar Cart to kick us off with our first cocktail. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Leslie. And good evening, everybody. So yes, my name is Allie, as Leslie has said, and I am thrilled to be introducing Spencer Powell, Chef de Boisson, or Chef of Beverage, and team member of the alumni-owned business, The Bar Cart by Lavish Liquid. So Spencer has over a decade of experience in the hospitality industry and has notably designed the beverage menu for restaurants in the Greater Vancouver area. So Spencer is going to be taking us through the motions of preparing our first cocktail before we get into the official motions. A little Robert's Rules joke for you. So folks, please note your flavor profiles and what you like about cocktail number 1. We will be making cocktail number 2 a little later on in the program. And at that time, we will be asking the audience, which cocktail is your favorite? So while you're mixing your drinks, please start thinking about potential names for these cocktails. We will collect all of the names shared in the chat and announce the official name following the event. So Spencer, off camera, I have my kit in front of me. I'm going to mute myself so you guys don't hear me shaking ice, but please teach us how to make cocktail number 1.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Allie. Good to be here, everyone. Thanks for joining me for a fun cocktail night. So yeah, as Allie said, I'm Spencer. I'm going to be walking you through 2 different cocktails, yet unnamed. And so please participate, please vote on a name. There are some prizes to be won at the very end. So we're really excited for that as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's head on over to the bar and make our first currently unnamed drink. All right, we are here at the bar. So I've got all my essentials set up and ready to go. I've got my gin. Today I'm going to be using Tanqueray London Dry Gin. You may be familiar with this one. In your kit, you likely have a local gin included. Quite nice. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head which one it is right now for you guys, but I'm sure it'll be delicious. So the first drink we'll be working on today is kind of just a very simple entry into cocktails. So it's kind of like, you know, a good representation of how to make a cocktail and about the balance of the cocktail. So we're going to work with our gin. We're going to work with our lemon juice. We're going to work with our simple syrup. Just all simple, ingredients you can use to make a balanced cocktail. And this is something that you could potentially serve to someone that, you know, may not even really think they like gin. But when they have something like this, you've got the balance of the spirit, all the beautiful botanicals in the gin. And then you have the citrus for the acidity, and then you have the simple syrup just to balance it out. You know, that's what it's all about in the end, is the end product. Obviously, there's some cocktails that lean way in one direction, like an old fashioned or a martini. Those might be a little bit more specialized, you know, to certain people's tastes. I mean, I personally love both, but something like this, I think many people would agree is delicious, and they may not even really think about it being gin anymore, you know, if that's not their thing. So without further ado here, just let me get some of the stuff out of the way. So guys, as we get started to begin here, please make sure you have your tools at the ready. We're going to need something to measure with. I'm going to use a couple different shot glasses. You will need something to shake with. I'm going to personally use a good old shaker glass and tin combo here. If you don't have those, you could use a measuring cup if you really need to. You can use a tablespoon if you really need to. 1 tablespoon equals roughly about ½ of an ounce. So you can keep that in mind. If you don't have a shaker tin, you can use like a protein shaker, you know, plastic container, or you can use a jar with a lid, things like that. And then we're going to need something to, of course, put our drinks in. So for the first drink, I'm personally going to use a Nick and Nora glass, a beautiful little stem glass somewhere in between sort of a martini and coupe glass. So you can use whatever you have available. If you have a martini glass, coupe glass, that's great. One of these, that's great. You know, failing that, you can use whatever you want, really. You could use a flute glass, anything stemmed, and absolutely failing that, you can use whatever you want. The drink's going to taste almost the same anyway. So what I'm going to actually do here, and this is because I have some extra ice. So if you don't have extra ice, you do not have to do this. I'm going to chill this glass and put it on the side just to get it nice and ready for the drink. Just got that topped up with ice there. Going to put that aside for now. All right, so what we're going to do now is let's ready our mixing container. So if you have a two-sided, a two-piece thing like I do here, you always want to use the smaller side. That way you can, you know, never overflow the bigger part. If you max this out, this one's bigger, it's going to be fine. So start with your smaller side. If you're just using like a one-piece thing with a lid that you screw on or something, then obviously you're just going to use that. And so for this currently unnamed cocktail, what we're going to do to begin here is let's grab our gin. So like I said, I'm going to use Tanqueray London Dry in this case, and we're going to start by pouring 2 ounces of gin. So like I said, 2 ounces, that can also be roughly about 60 milliliters, or if you really need to, you could do 4 tablespoons, that's fine. So for me, I'm just using a standard 1 ounce shot glass. I'm going to go ahead and pour 2 of those. And next up, you should have received a fresh lemon in your kit. Ideally, we can use that. And we're going to get some juice out of that as well. So what we're going to do here is actually just, let's give our lemon a cut in half. And then if you have a lemon squeezer like this, that would be perfect. You can use that. If not, you can do it by hand. I'd recommend taking your knife, just cut a little X in the middle there. I find that works better to kind of allow you to squeeze it if you need to. As a rule of thumb, half of a lemon will probably give you about 3/4 of an ounce, which is I believe, perfect for this recipe. It is. So I squeeze my lemon almost as hard as I can, and I've got that perfect 3/4 of an ounce here. So that works out. I'm going to add that to my 2 ounces of gin. And up next, what we're going to do is grab our simple syrup. I'm going to reach in my fridge here. So you should have received some simple syrup with your kit. Just good old sugar water, literally the simplest of syrups. And so now what we're going to do is pour 1/2 an ounce. So if you are using a standard shot glass, you're going to want it about like so, or 1 tablespoon, or about 15 milliliters. So just to recap, we've got our 2 ounces of gin in there. We've got our 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, and we've got our 1/2 an ounce of simple syrup. Now you may notice we haven't yet added any ice, and that's definitely on purpose. We don't want to dilute our drink. We want to save it to the very end once we've got everything in there. You know, because especially at a bar, you know, I may be making multiple drinks at once, working on them, building them. And then what I want to be able to do is finish them all off at the same time. So there is, you know, less diluted as possible. We only want the dilution from shaking ideally here. So yeah, so what we're going to do next for this one is we're going to take some mint that we have. And I would say about 2 or 3 nice leaves here. Get some fresh mint. And everyone always loves this part. So what we're going to do is actually just kind of put it in our hand there like that. Just give it a good slap. And that's going to help open up the mint. And then we're going to go ahead and drop that in the glass with the ingredients. So I'll give everyone maybe 30 seconds here just to kind of make sure they are where they need to be with the cocktail. And what we're going to do is get ready to add some ice soon. Gin is actually one of my favorite spirits, by the way, and I'm happy to see that gin is a popular choice for these classes. So good on everyone choosing gin and, you know, letting everyone else experience it, even if they've, like I said, maybe never tried it before, or maybe just think they're not sure about it. Gin is super versatile. It's definitely one of the older spirits. It shows up in a lot of the classic recipes and cocktail books, even from like the 20s and 30s and everything. So there's lots of more to talk about gin. You can always, you know, reach out later and we can chat more about that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take my glass. I'm just going to dump out this ice back into my ice machine. And all right, everyone, what we're going to do is ideally, if you have enough ice, max out that glass. You want more, not less, if you have to choose and if you have the ice to spare. So let's go ahead and add as much as we can spare. So as you can see, absolutely maxed out on ice there. And then we're going to shake it with whatever tool we have. I'm just going to use my shaker tin. And what we can do is maybe on the count of 3. I can't see you all, but I just know you guys are going to do this. So let's all shake together. Ready? On the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. Do it. And don't want to shake it too long. A good 10 to 15 seconds will do just fine. You just want to mix the ingredients together. As a rule of thumb, when you're using citrus and syrups, you usually want to give it a good shake. If you ever a more spirit forward drink, then it's okay to just stir it. Something like a Manhattan or an old fashioned should always be stirred, for example. So in this next step, what we're going to do here is we're going to double strain it. So if you don't know what that means, basically we're going to use not just one, but 2 different straining devices. So I'm going to use my standard Hawthorne strainer and my net strainer here. So the idea here is to actually finely strain it. So I'm going to just pour it right through my net strainer into the glass. And if there's any ice or like little bits of liquid left over, I just give it a little tap there. And the reason for that is because we're preventing any little ice chunks from going in there and adding further dilution and just making it look, you know, look not as clean as it could be. And of course, preventing little bits of mint from floating around there. So all we have to do now is garnish it. So we're going to take some more of our mint, try to grab a nice, healthy looking sprig. So not an individual leaf, ideally. But if that's all you have, that's okay. I'm going to grab one like that. And you can garnish this however you like. You can float it on top. You can sort of tuck it in. If you have like a little, like almost like, what's it called? like a clip. You can use that if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead like that. And there is our first drink, guys. Cheers. And I can't wait to see what you're going to name it.
Thank you so much, Spencer. Thank you for drink number one. So folks, I hope you are coming up with lots of ideas for cocktail number one. And Leslie, back over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I have never slapped mint before, so that was a new experience for me. And because I'm hosting here, I'm doing the non-alcoholic version, and it's actually really, really lovely. This Lumet non-alcoholic spirit. I've never even knew that they existed, so that is fantastic. Okay, so thank you so much. Next, I am very pleased to introduce Emil Bosnjak, who is the president of the BCIT Alumni Association, and he has been in that role for the past 3 years. So enjoy your cocktail as we kick off the AGM business portion. Over to you, Emil.
Thank you, Leslie, and hello, everyone. Welcome to the annual general meeting of the BCIT Alumni Association. To Kathy, thank you for joining us here tonight. Your exceptional leadership of BCIT, especially through these challenging times, is so appreciated. We are very grateful for the strong partnership between BCIT and the Alumni Association. To everyone tuning in tonight, on behalf of my fellow board members, thank you for joining us online again this year. We certainly miss seeing you in person and look forward to when we can again. We will now begin the business portion of the AGM. Please refer to the agenda PDF package at the link we provided. So, alumni and guests, I now call the BCIT Alumni Association's 42nd annual general meeting to order. The alumni members present constitute a quorum, and the meeting is therefore duly constituted to conduct business. It is 5:31 p.m. And I now ask Ali Siemens, Manager of Alumni Relations, to join me for a few initial motions. Hi, Ali.
Hi, Emil.
Okay, we will conduct our motions through the webinar polling function. We ask that all alumni present please vote on the motions. And if you're not an alum, it is the honor system here. Please abstain from voting by simply closing the polling window when it pops up. Okay, everyone, please refer to the agenda on page 1. May I ask for an alum to move that we adopt the 2021 AGM agenda as presented? Please use the raise hand button to move this motion.
All right, it looks like I've got Kyle Landrigan who has moved the motion.
Thanks, Kyle. Do we have a seconder? Please use the raise hand button to second the motion.
I believe I have Yasmin Parkinson who has seconded the motion, Emil.
Thank you, Yasmin. And is there any discussion on the motion? If there is, please type any questions you have using the Q&A button, or if you prefer, use the raise hand button to speak and we will unmute your microphone.
All right, folks. So as Emil mentioned, the Q&A is open for any questions on motions, or if it's easy to type it into the chat, feel free to put it in there. I will create a little bit more noise in order to fill some of the silence, but it doesn't look like we have any questions coming in on the agenda, Emil.
Okay, Ali, if I can ask you to launch the poll for all alumni present to vote on this motion.
Sorry, I think I saw Rashmina's hand raised. Is that correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, did I miss that, Rashmina?
That may have been an accident.
Oh, okay.
All right, the poll is launched and it looks like folks are coming in. We've got about 50% of the membership who has voted, so we'll leave it open for about another 5 seconds. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The polling is going to end. All right, Emil, your motion has carried.
Okay, thank you. Motion carried. Okay, next, please take a moment to review the minutes from the 2020 AGM on pages 2 through 4. I ask for an alum to move that we adopt the 2020 AGM minutes as presented.
All right, it looks like I have Tracy has moved the motion.
Thank you, Tracy. Do I have a seconder? Please use the raise hand button to second the motion.
All right, Chris Wilson has seconded the motion, and I'm going to just lower all hands here.
Thank you, Chris. And is there any discussion on the motion at all? Again, if you can type your question in using the Q&A or use the raise hand button to speak, and we'll unmute your microphone.
All right, not seeing anybody raise their hand. We'll wait a moment in case anybody has anything in the chat.
Maybe Rashmina again? I'm just kidding, Rashmina, sorry. Okay, thank you. Are we okay, Ali?
We are good.
Okay. Ali, please launch the poll for alumni to vote on this motion.
All right, folks, there in front of you, motion to adopt the 2020 AGM minutes as presented. Votes are coming in fast this time around. Everybody's lowered their hand, figured out the chats in the Q&A section. So we will leave this open for a few more seconds here. All right, and it looks like we have the majority of folks who have voted, so I'm going to stop the polling and share the results. Your motion has passed, Emil.
Oh, thank you. Okay, and thank you, Ali, for your help as well. And now we are going to move on to the President's report. So please refer to the 2020-2021 annual report link that we provided you. Our team is posting that link into the chat window now for everyone's convenience. So firstly, I'd like to acknowledge your hosts today, the Alumni Association Board of Directors and Chapter Ambassadors. It's been an absolute pleasure working with this great team of volunteers over the past year. As we all know, this past year was challenging and extraordinary in many ways. But even though the world saw tremendous change, what remained the same for us is that everything we do is guided by our mission. And that mission is to foster alumni success, to give back to our BCIT community, and to engage alumni for life. This past year, we continued to achieve the goals set out in our 3-year strategic plan, albeit in different ways than we may have anticipated when we wrote the plan. So I'd like to now show you a short video that recaps our year. Okay, let's watch. Well, that was wonderful. Thank you. That was great. And more stories and information about the year are, of course, detailed in our annual report included with your agenda package tonight. Great video. Lastly, on behalf of the Alumni Board, I'd like to thank all alumni, including all of you here tonight, who are involved and passionate about BCIT. You attend our events, you volunteer on advisory committees and boards. Many of you mentor students or volunteer as guest speakers, you donate money, or you take part in our affinity programs. You make a huge difference and we are extremely grateful. We also sincerely thank the BCIT Board of Governors, the Institute, the Foundation, and the Alumni Relations team. It has been a pleasure working with you this year. If we were together in person, this is where we would give you a big round of applause, everybody. Thank you. And that concludes the President's Report for 2020-2021. So now I would like to welcome our Treasurer, Rashmina Lalani, to give her brief report on our financials. Rashmina.
Thank you, Emil, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the most riveting part of tonight's program, the Treasurer's Report. And that whole raise hand thing earlier was just to build anticipation for this part of the event, really. Before I walk you through the numbers, please note the Alumni Association's financial statements are unaudited. Per our bylaws, they are not required to be audited. Okay, let's begin with the Statement of Operations on page 25 of the annual report. So as you can see on the slide as well, I'm pleased to report that our 2021 revenues fell by only a small margin to 181,909 despite the pandemic. Thank you to all our alumni who participated in our affinity programs, our BCIT BMO MasterCard, our insurance products with TD Insurance and IA Financial, our apprentice students program with Prospera, and of course, to all of you who downloaded the new BCIT Alumni Perks app. These programs offer great benefits to you, our alumni, and generate revenue for your alumni association, enabling us to offer programs and services and to donate back to BCIT and BCIT students. Thank you so much for your support. Speaking of donations, in the expenses section, you will see $160,000 under that line. This represents our annual pledge payment of $150,000 towards our 1 million gift to BCIT's Inspire campaign. In addition, we donated $10,000 to BCIT Student Emergency Response Fund in the early days of the pandemic. This was to help students in need who suddenly lost their part-time jobs or faced other financial hardships. Other significant variances over the previous years include a decrease in sponsorships due to the very few in-person events held last year, as well as an increase in marketing expenses where we chose to invest in more with our savings and sponsorship dollars. The resulting year-end deficit is $51,881, which was planned for and expected and is covered by our savings. You may also notice we have very low overhead as an organization. This is because BCIT generously donates in-kind services. The services of our Executive Director, Leslie Kershane, and support from the BCIT Alumni Relations team, as well as communications, database, and financial services from BCIT Advancement. We greatly appreciate this very significant in-kind contribution to our operations and your ongoing commitment and partnership. Okay, now let's take a quick look at the Statement of Financial Position on page 24. I'm pleased to report a continued strong financial position for the Alumni Association. You can see the total assets decreased by $54,570, giving us a balance of $313,580. That concludes a very exciting numbers portion of this evening. I want to take a moment to acknowledge my fellow Finance Committee members, past Treasurer Melissa Billisberger and Kevin Liu. Thank you very much for your support throughout the year and helping this committee function. So with that, I put forward the motion to approve the 2020-2021 financial statements as presented.
All right, the motion is on the floor, and it looks like you've got Tracy, who was quick to second that motion, Rashmina.
Perfect. So we've got a seconder already. And with that, thank you. And
I will.
I'm too quick for.
That's okay. We're going to launch the poll to approve.
Oh, yes.
2021,
yes, I forgot about that.
2020 and 2021 financial statements as presented. So folks are going to see that pop up on their screen right there, and they'll have an opportunity to vote.
Right.
All right. We've got max people who are providing their vote on the motion. I'm going to end polling in 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Ali.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. And is there any discussion on the motion? Again, please type your questions. You have using the Q&A button.
I am not seeing any Q&A or discussion, Rashmina.
It's just that was just such a genius report, I think. With that, thank you, everyone. The motion is carried. I'll now turn things back over to Emil, and thank you.
Thank you, Rashmina. That was fantastic. Thank you for your leadership with the Finance Committee. We truly appreciate your guidance and hard work. Thank you.
I'll try not to raise my hand.
Anytime, anytime. Next on the agenda, we are going to talk about the fantastic incoming and outgoing volunteers on our board. So I now refer you to the nomination report on pages 6 and 7 of the agenda PDF package, where you can follow along. We have 2 retiring members, Claire and Kyle. Claire McCallum was elected as Vice President External of the BCIT Student Association a year ago, and was therefore appointed to our board as the BCIT Student Association President Designate. Our bylaws reserve a seat on our board for a representative from the SA board to ensure our 2 organizations have a strong connection. Claire, thank you for joining us this past year. It has been a fantastic having a student voice on the board. You did a tremendous job through this unusual year, and we look forward to staying in touch with you as you build your career. Good luck. Next, we are also saying farewell to Kyle Landrigan. Kyle started with us as a committee volunteer in 2012 and was then elected to the board in 2013, serving many of those years as vice president. Kyle, you have made significant contributions to the board through your leadership and countless volunteer hours. It is hard to imagine this board without you. I know I speak for all the board members when I say it has been our distinct pleasure to serve on this board with Kyle. Thank you so much for your passion for BCIT and dedication over the 9 years with us. I know there's someone else here who would also like to say a few words. I'd like to turn things over to Paul McCullough, BCIT's Vice President of Advancement. Paul?
Thank you, Emil. Greetings. Before I thank Kyle individually for his tremendous long-standing service, I'd like to take a moment to thank all members of the Alumni Board. The Alumni Association is governed by a volunteer board of directors and quite simply would not exist and achieve all that it does without each of you committing your valuable time, energy, and expertise to support Executive Director Leslie Cochin and our alumni relations team. The alumni are so important to BCIT, and the excellent partnership BCIT has with the Alumni Association is very significant in helping our 2 organizations advance our goals. Over the past 4 years, the Alumni Association has undergone a significant transformation, very capably led by the board and Leslie. You have elevated the engagement of our alumni, transformed alumni communications, expanded the number of quality partnerships, and you have also laid the groundwork to grow revenues significantly. Of course, the fact that you have pledged the Alumni Association's largest gift ever, $1 million to BCIT's $1 million to BCIT's Inspire campaign, is a testament to the incredible work you have done to position your organization as a pillar partner of BCIT, and one that makes every BCIT alumni very proud. So again, my sincerest thanks and kudos to each of you for all that you do for BCIT. Now, I'd like to extend a special thank you to Kyle Landrigan. Kyle, with 9 years of service to the Alumni Association board and committees, you have seen significant change, challenging times, and growth over your tenure. You stepped up to take the vice president role, providing exceptional leadership to the board and the organization. Beyond the board and committee meetings, you regularly attended signature events, networking opportunities, have taken on speaking roles, and you've also been given back to your BCIT financial management program by mentoring students through their capstone projects. Kyle, you have simply been an outstanding contributor to the BCIT Alumni Association, and we are so very appreciative for everything you have done for the BCIT family. Please do stay in touch. Rest assured, we would be thrilled to welcome you back for future roles. In closing, Kyle, I'm aware that you and your wife Justine are expecting your first child this summer, and I wish you the very best for this next exciting chapter in your lives. Thank you, Kyle, for your outstanding commitment over the years. Emil, I'll now pass this back to you.
Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you for your kind words. Kyle, I don't want to put you on the spot, but would you like to say a few words about your time with us?
Well, thank you, Emil and Paul, both so much. What an amazing ride these past 8 years have been. BCIT is just on an incredible trajectory right now. And I would highly encourage anyone that has considered getting involved with the Alumni Association to take that next step, as the next 5 to 10 years are going to be a lot of fun. So thanks again, and both on an institution level and the association board, it's in great hands with this leadership team. So thank you, and I will miss you, but I'm sure I will be back sooner than later.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyle. Everybody, big cheers, shout out, raise hands, everything. Thank you, Kyle. Look forward to having a round of golf with you this summer, maybe before you have a baby, because you won't have time after.
Absolutely. Would love that.
Kyle and Claire, we are mailing each of you a gift as our way of saying thanks. And I know if we were meeting in person right now, you'd both be hearing a big round of applause. Again, thank you so much to both of you for everything. Okay, so next I'm pleased to present the slate of 3 candidates for re-election, a 4th for election, and 1 by appointment to voting positions on our board. As per our bylaws, this will be done by acclamation. As detailed in the meeting package, the 3 nominees recommended for re-election are Alexandra Gunn, Human Resources and Administration Manager at UBC, Rashmina Lalani, Manager of Aggressive Tax Planning at Canada Revenue Agency, and founder and CEO of Inherent Diamonds and Jewels, and Jennifer Patterson, Principal and Project Manager at Cityscape Management Limited. The appointed director recommendation for election is Amanda Gomez, Project Manager of Industrial, Omricon. And last but not least, the director appointed to us by the Student Association is Abe Bakshi, recently elected as Vice President of External of the SA, Student Association. Congratulations, Abe. And with that, I have presented the new appointed members and the slate of nominees for the elected positions on the BCIT Alumni Association Board of Directors. These directors will be joining our directors, our continuing directors, Melissa Bilsberger, Alexandra Gunn, Avi Kappel, Matthew Noletti, Sean Poole, Arash Salamati, and myself to form the 2021-2022 board. And as per our bylaws, I hereby declare the 4 members recommended by the Governance Committee elected by acclamation to the BCIT Alumni Association Board of Directors. Congratulations to our returning and new directors. Okay, that concludes the nominations report and the business part of our annual general meeting, which means it is cocktail time, Ali. Yeah, it's cocktail time. So I call for an alum to move that we conclude the 2021 annual general meeting of the BCIT Alumni Association.
All right, Yasmin Parkinson is the one who moved the motion, so I'm just going to lower the hands there before you call for a seconder, Emil.
Thank you, Yasmin. And do I have a seconder? Please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window to second the motion.
And Carly Weatherset is the seconder on the motion.
Thank you, Carly. And is there any discussion on the motion at all? Any last questions about what you've heard so far tonight? If so, please use the raise hand button, Q&A, let us know.
But as it stands, it doesn't look like we have any questions coming in to either motion, Emil.
Okay, thank you. Ali, if I can ask you to launch the poll for all alumni present to vote on this motion.
There we go, folks. It should be popped up on your screen in front of you. Motion to adjourn the 2021 BCIT Alumni Association Annual General Meeting. So we're at 50% voted, quickly climbing. Surprising, nobody is interested in keeping it going. People are looking forward to the second cocktail of the evening. And it looks like we're at 100% Emil, so I'm going to end that polling and share the results.
Wonderful, thank you. Motion carried. Okay, the meeting is officially adjourned at 5:57 p.m. Thank you, everyone. And I will now turn it back over to Leslie Cushane, Executive Director of the BCIT Alumni Association. Leslie.
Thank you so much, Emil. Excellent job. My sincere thanks to you and to all of our volunteer board and committee members. It's an absolute pleasure working with all of you. And Kyle and Claire, please keep in touch. It's been fantastic working with you. Okay, so without further ado, we are back to our second portion of our cocktail class this evening, and I will turn it back over to Ali and Spencer. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Leslie. So I guess my first question to the audience is, have you been thinking about those names for the next BCIT, or not even the next, the first ever BCIT Alumni Association cocktail? So really hoping folks are going to share their brilliant suggestions in the chat. Anna is going to be collecting those suggestions, and then we'll be taking them offline and showing everybody. Oh, the Willingdon. Okay, I really like that, Brian, the Willingdon. So yes, the person who submits the winning name, I got a little sidetracked there. We do have prizes. We have a $100 MasterCard gift card from BMO, as well as a prize package from the bar cart. So following the event, you folks will all be getting a little bit of a discount code to the bar cart, again, an alumni owned business. So we're thrilled to be welcoming Spencer here. So before I turn it over, the other thing I wanted to note is if you have any questions for Spencer, please do also pop those in the chat, and I will lob them over at him as he is turning and grabbing his ice. So please don't be shy, and I bet you are quickly copying and pasting from the chat there. I'm not going to be doing any double straining here, otherwise BCIT is going to be buying me a new keyboard set. But Spencer, please take us through the second cocktail so we can all cheers together.
Awesome, Ali. Thank you so much. Great presentation, guys. Great meeting. So yeah, happy to dig into the second cocktail with everyone here. So I hope, like I said, hope everyone's voting on some excellent cocktail ideas. And just before we jump in, just wanted to share a couple details about Bar Cart in case anyone's not really aware. It is a company created by Mr. Chris Choi. and he started Lavish Liquid about 12 years ago as an event bartending service. I met Chris a few months ago, and I really liked what Chris is doing. I came on board as a contracting, cocktail instructor, and so he started Bar Cart as sort of a sub brand about 14 months ago. Perfect timing with COVID. Delicious, handcrafted cocktails delivered to your door for all sizes of parties and companies and groups and what have you. And so just want to say, really highly support Chris and what he's doing. Fantastic cocktail experiences that you can have in the safety of your own home. And, soon enough, I think you'll be firing up with Lavish Liquid as well to do, in-person stuff when the time is right, when people are comfortable with it and things like that. Yeah, so I just wanted to share that before we start here. And that being said, one last thing I wanted to say. You may have noticed someone walking around in the background. So I actually have my mom joining in here. And the reason for that is because she is actually a BCIT alumni as well. She was really excited to hear about this. She thought this was a really cool idea to include the cocktails in that. So yeah, Mom, they're all welcoming you. So thank you. Yeah. So can I say what class here? 1989. Class of 1989. So a little while back, but yeah. So anyway, guys, let's go over to the bar now and let's make that other drink. All right, guys, we are back at the bar here. So we're going to work on our second cocktail. So let me just start off by saying that this drink, currently unnamed still, I can give you a hint as to what it is. So if anyone's familiar with a daiquiri, great little rum drink, daiquiri is very similar to this. If you swap out the rum for gin and you swap out the lime, or in this case, actually, sorry, we're keeping the lime, I should say, you basically get what this drink is. So I'm not going to tell you the actual name because the name is up to you guys. Hopefully everyone's voting on that. So without further ado, what we're going to do is I'm going to put these off to the side here. So one little thing to point out, one minor mistake, I believe, in the recipe thing off to the left here of me is it does show a rocks glass. This actually calls for a coupe glass or martini glass as well. So I'm sorry for the confusion there, but I would recommend something like this, stemmed once again, because the drink that this is based off of definitely calls for this kind of drink, and it even says so in the actual recipe. So sorry for the mistake there. I'll be sure to pass it along to Chris, but so I see a good question in the chat. I'll definitely dig into that with you soon. Sarah, that's a great question. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to put my chill glass off to the side. Like I said, completely optional, but definitely makes the experience a little bit better, maintains that the chilled the temperature as much as possible. I like the name suggestions flowing already. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to grab our mixing glass. Same as last time, whatever you were building your cocktail in, it could be the smaller part of a shaker pair, could be whatever container or jar that you're using. And for this, we're actually going to start off with our rosemary. So let's grab a nice sprig of rosemary here. I'm going to grab one like this. And let's give it a good old slap like we do with the mint. So, all right, guys, let's grab a rosemary. 3, 2, 1, give it a good smack. And I just sent part of it flying, I think, but that's okay. And this is a pretty big piece. So what I'm going to do is actually just rip it in half and drop it in my glass here. So that gets the herb part of the drink out of the way. So what we're going to do now is grab our gin once again. And like last time, we're going to pour 2 ounces of this. So just a reminder, you can use a shot glass. You could use a measuring cup if you need to. You could even use tablespoons. So that's going to be 2 ounces, about 60 milliliters, or roughly about 4 tablespoons of good old gin. Pour that into our glass. And next we're going to go for our elderflower syrup. So I don't have the same one that you guys have. I found this one at Save on Foods. I'm sure that Chris's is better because he makes it from scratch, in his prep kitchen with his team. We can talk about that more later, but let's open this up and pour 3/4 of an ounce of our elderflower syrup. So that would be about 45 milliliters about a tablespoon and a half. I would say if you're not sure how to measure that, you could always do a tablespoon and a teaspoon, and that would get you pretty close. So I'm going to go ahead and pour 3/4 of an ounce. If you're using a shot glass like I am, it'll look about like so. And don't be deceived. 3/4 of an ounce really is all the way up to below the rim there, just because of the shape of the glass. And I see someone asking if elderberry flower powder would work in a pinch. I mean, if that's what you got, you're about to make probably a delicious variation. So I'd say go ahead and do that. So let's add this in. But I think if you have the kit, you should have the elderflower syrup included. If you're just following along at home without the kit, then I would say whatever you have that have some sweetness. If you have some regular simple syrup, you could potentially substitute that and then throw a different flavor in there like you were planning to. Okay, so we've got that out of the way with. Now let's take our fresh lime. If for whatever reason you do not have a lime, though I believe it is included in the kit, you can use bottled lime. But let's cut this lime in half so that we can actually juice it. So I'm going to grab my lime juicer, and just as reference, this calls for 1 ounce of lime. I don't think I'm going to get a whole ounce of lime out of this. I'm going to measure it just to be safe, because when you're making cocktails, you definitely want to be precise. It's all about the minute details, about the proportions, the ratios. The glass is part of the recipe. The ice is part of the recipe. Everything contributes to the drink. So I didn't quite get enough out of that lime. I'm going to squeeze the other half, but I'm not going to squeeze it all the way because I only need about 1/4 of an ounce more. There we go. So got my 1 ounce of lime juice there. Going to go ahead and add that in. All right, guys, so just to recap, we've got our sprig of rosemary in there. We have got our 2 ounces of gin, our 1 ounce of lime juice, and our 3/4 of an ounce of elderflower syrup. Smells good already. And in case anyone's not aware or familiar with elderflower, it's beautiful because it's citrusy, it's floral. It's going to really pair well with the gin, not to mention the rosemary. And little thing to note, rosemary is one of my absolute favorite herbs. I absolutely love the stuff. I think it smells, I almost said fantabulous. That's not a word, but you get the picture. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get ready to do the same thing that we did last time. We're going to add some ice in there. Like I said, if you have enough to spare, you can definitely just max it out. We're going to give it a good shake, and we're going to double strain it if we have the tools to do that. Otherwise, just make do however you can. So what I'll do is I'll give everyone 30 seconds here just to make sure everyone's caught up. And yeah, I think, judging by the chat, we have a couple people that are kind of, they know what drink this is based on, but that's okay.
Yeah, maybe while we are just waiting for a moment here, while people fill up their ice, can you tell folks how we may make elderflower syrup at home?
Yeah, so elderflower syrup at home, I mean, you would have to obtain some elderflower. And I'll be honest, off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure where to obtain the stuff, but I'm sure that it probably can be found at some very specific markets. I would say maybe check places like Whole Foods and things like that if I had to just sort of throw in a suggestion out there. But the basis remains the same for pretty much any syrup. What you want to do is, I would recommend, in most cases, start off with the traditional 1-to-1 ratio recipe. So that's equal parts sugar to equal parts water. And then what you're going to want to do is put that in a pot, just heat it up lightly. You don't want it to get anything more than a simmer usually. You're basically just looking to break down and dissolve that sugar, and at the same time infuse whatever flavor the syrup you're trying to make. So if it's elderflower, you'd want to infuse that in there. Same for like if you're making like an orange, like I did an orange rosemary syrup many times. I put the fresh orange peel in there with the fresh rosemary, and I let it simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. You don't want to boil it. You don't want it to get overcooked and just go bitter and things like that. So yeah, syrups, the nice thing about it, you can play around with so many different flavors. One of my biggest recommendations is teas. I absolutely love using teas for cocktails. And actually 2 weeks ago on my Instagram, I did a little tea-based cocktail workshop that shows off a couple examples of how to use teas and just get the ideas flowing and kind of inspire people. So, but yeah, moral of the story is you just want to make sure that you infuse that with some heat usually. And that's going to get as much flavor in there, 5 to 10 minutes. let it sit, let it rest off heat for about an hour and a half. You don't want to go beyond 2 hours just for food safety reasons. And then make sure it's transferred to a food safe container, cooled down, placed in your fridge for safekeeping for, maybe a couple of weeks or so. So that being said, let's get our ice in here and start shaking. All right, got that maxed out once again. I see Sandra's asking how to make a rhubarb syrup. Very similar to what I said. I have made a rhubarb orange syrup before. It's absolutely delicious. You just want to let the rhubarb break down a bit and really start to infuse in the syrup, just like most things. Awesome. Nice feedback there. All right, guys, let's go ahead and shake this cocktail. So let's do this on a 3, 2, 1. Let's shake it up. All right, gonna grab my glass here and dump out my ice. Nice chilled martini glass. You can use a coupe glass. You can use whatever you have, like I said. And let us double strain once again, if possible. All right. If you don't have a strainer, like I said, or double fine strainer, net strainer, you can just go for it. It's not going to be the end of the world. Just watch out for the little pieces of rosemary. Gonna give it a tap here, get all the extra liquid. Put this aside. All right, so all that's left is to garnish it now. So excuse me just for 1 second here. Just grabbing something that I can use to garnish it with. So I've got a little mini clothespin, the word I for some reason could not remember earlier. And what I'm going to do is take some more fresh rosemary. And you don't want a crazy big piece. Like I don't want this tree right here. I want just like something a little bit more manageable, like so. And so guys, lots of ways you can garnish this. You can gently place it along the rim here. If you have something like I do, like a clothespin, you can just clip it right on. You can do whatever you like with that. You can kind of slap the mint around a little bit, even on the side of the glass here to kind of open it up and get some aromatics. So that way, when you go to sip it, you just enjoy it even more. So let's clip it on. And there we have the second drink as so. Please enjoy. Cheers.
Cheers. All right, I wish I had like a bulldog clip from the office environment to attach my piece of rosemary. That would be a good opportunity.
Absolutely.
All right, folks. Thank you so much, Spencer. That was fantastic. I'm wondering if we had one more question that came in through the Q&A. Do you think you could tell us that if we don't have a shot glass, what was that ratio for how many tablespoons do we need for 1 ounce?
Absolutely. Good question. So 1 tablespoon is roughly equal to about half of an ounce. So which seems a bit strange, but it just, a tablespoon actually holds like a decent amount of liquid, right? So if I were to take a tablespoon right now and pour it in my shot glass, it would almost nearly be a perfect half an ounce. Yeah, so 2 tablespoons per ounce if you need to in a pinch, or 15 milliliters is about half of an ounce as well.
Thank you so much. All right, so we've got tons of fantastic names in the chat, so I'm sure Anna is busy copy and pasting, but I hope everybody has had an opportunity to have a sip of it, at least the second one, if not finish their first cocktail. So we are going to launch the last poll of the evening, which is going to give the audience an opportunity to vote on their favorite. So we're about to find out the moment we've all been waiting for, launching poll now. Of the 2 beverages that Spencer helped us make tonight, which one should be the BCIT Alumni Association's first ever official cocktail? And hey, this is open to non-alums as well, so everybody in the audience is welcome to vote. This is very fun because as the person who's hosting this webinar, or rather hosting the back end of the webinar, I get to see these votes come in live, which is very fun. So it looks like we've got 67% of people who have voted. So we'll give it a few more seconds here. Maybe 5, 4, 3, 2. We are about to find out the official cocktail is cocktail number 2 at 57%.
Nice.
Very excited. Thank you so much, Spencer. That was incredible. What a fun thing to do on a beautiful 1st of June. So thank you all for joining in this fantastic experience. And Leslie, I'm going to pass it back to you. And as a final note, we will be in touch with the winners tomorrow of the official name, or rather later this week.
That was so fun. Thank you so much. And yeah, that was the polling was kind of neck and neck there, but cocktail 2 wins. So looking forward to naming that and announcing that all to you. So thank you so much. I just have a few very short closing remarks to wind up the evening. Just on behalf of the board, thank you so much to Spencer and Ali. Thank you to our event sponsor, the BCIT School of Business and Media, as well as to our affinity partners and door prize donors, BMO, IA Financial, Prospera, TD Insurance, and Bell Mobility. Following the event, all attendees will receive that email with a link to our event survey, as well as the list of the door prize winners for those gift cards. So please watch for that. My sincere thanks to the BCIT Alumni Relations team and Advancement Communications team for so expertly managing tonight's event. And last but not least, our sincere thanks to all of you, the attendees, for taking the time on this beautiful evening to join us for tonight's event. Please keep in touch at bcit.ca/alumni. Thank you so much, everyone.